The sun burned like a brand against Travis Cole's shoulders. May heat cooked the sand beneath his bare feet at Hermosa Beach, each grain radiating warmth through calloused soles. Salt air mixed with the sharp tang of sweat from morning lifters grunting through pull-ups on the bars. Travis scanned the calisthenics park, 300 pounds of sculpted muscle drawing stares as he moved. Then he saw him. A compact figure moved through conditioning drills near the far bar, precise, economical, no wasted motion. Travis recognized the face from movie posters. Bruce Lee, the guy who did all those kung fu flicks. Smaller than expected, maybe 140 pounds soaking wet, but moving with a rhythm that pulled the eye. Travis felt his lips curl into a grin. He glanced over his shoulder, caught Rick's attention with a sharp whistle. His cameraman jogged over, Pete trailing behind with the backup equipment. "That's Bruce Lee," Travis said, voice low but electric. "The movie guy, watch this." Rick's eyes widened, the lens came up. Travis rolled his massive shoulders, feeling the familiar weight of opportunity settling into his chest. Content Gold stood 20 feet away, and the camera was already rolling. He started forward, towering and shirtless, sand crunching beneath each deliberate step. Bruce Lee didn't look up, yet. Travis's voice cut through the salt air, loud enough for the camera to catch every word. "Bodybuilding creates better combat bodies than martial arts." Bruce straightened from his stretch. His expression remained neutral. "Better is subjective." Sand shifted beneath Travis's bare feet as he widened his stance. The camera whirred behind him, Rick adjusting the lens. Sweat gleamed across Travis's chest, catching the morning glare. "Let me rephrase," Travis gestured between them, palm open. "Who wins, 300 pounds of muscle or 140 pounds of technique?" Bruce tilted his head slightly. "It depends." The answer landed soft but firm. Travis felt heat crawl up his neck, not from the sun. "Depends on what?" "Context, environment, intent." A small crowd began gathering at the pull-up bars, sensing confrontation. Their murmurs mixed with the distant crash of waves. Travis caught Rick's slight nod. The shot was perfect. Travis rolled his massive shoulders back. "Then let's remove the variables. Try to take me down." The words hung between them. Bruce's eyes moved from Travis's face to the camera lens, then back. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Silence stretched thin. Bruce stepped forward into the open sand. Bruce raised one finger, "Not with cameras." Rick's lens stayed fixed on them. Travis's grin widened. "What's wrong? Afraid 10 million people will watch you lose." The crowd swelled closer, shoulders pressing against sunburned shoulders, salt air thick with sweat and anticipation. A woman whispered to her boyfriend. Two bodybuilders abandoned their pull-up bars. The circle tightened. Bruce studied Travis's face, not the muscled jaw or confident smirk, but the eyes. Hunger lived there, not for victory, for content. For the viral moment that would flood his channel with validation. Few could understand what drove men to document their own humiliation. "One technique," Bruce said, "then cameras off." Travis crossed his massive arms, 300 pounds of sculpted certainty. The morning sun caught the oil on his chest, turning muscle into monument. "One's all you'll need to try." Rick stepped closer, adjusting focus. "Deal," Travis said. His voice carried across the sand, performative and loud. He rolled his shoulders, and the crowd murmured approval at the display. Bruce's expression didn't change. He simply nodded, then turned his back and walked 10 paces through the sand, creating distance. What happened in those 10 paces would be dissected frame by frame for decades. Bruce stopped 15 feet away and turned. "Charge me," he said. "Full tackle." Travis's jaw tightened. His toes curled into the sand, gripping for traction. The stance came naturally. Weight dropping into his hips, shoulders squaring, head lowering. 8 years since he'd left college football, but the body remembered what the mind had filed away. 300 pounds coiled like a spring. Bruce stood motionless. His chest rose and fell in measured rhythm, shoulders loose, hands open at his sides. But his eyes, they tracked something invisible, following the line of Travis's hips, the distribution of mass across that enormous frame. The crowd pressed closer, forming a tightening ring. Someone's cologne mixed with coconut sunscreen and sweat. The Pacific breeze died. Travis's calves flexed. Bruce's breathing didn't change. Rick's camera lens caught the sunlight, a brief flash that vanished as quickly as it appeared. Travis exploded forward. Sand erupted behind his driving feet, 300 pounds accelerating with shocking speed. The distance collapsed. 5 feet, 3 feet, impact inevitable. Bruce's weight shifted, barely. The collision everyone expected never made a sound. 300 pounds closed the final yard. Travis could already feel the collision in his bones, the satisfying crunch of contact. Then Bruce vanished sideways, not stepped, vanished. 1 millisecond before impact, his entire frame shifted left, dissolving from Travis's trajectory like smoke through fingers. Travis's vision blurred, momentum too committed to adjust. Something hooked his front ankle mid-stride, a precise sweep that yanked his lead foot backward while his torso rocketed forward. A palm pressed his shoulder, not a shove, a guide. Physics seized control. Travis's own velocity became his enemy, 300 pounds of muscle betraying its master. His arms windmilled uselessly. The sand rushed up to meet his face, filling his open mouth before he could gasp. The impact thundered through the beach, a seismic thud that rattled the pull-up bars 20 feet away. Grains erupted in a cloud around his head. The crowd exploded into chaos, shouts, laughter, disbelief mixing into a single roar. Rick's camera lens never flinched, capturing every frame. The whir of the film reel threaded through the noise, immortalizing the fall. Travis lay motionless, his chest pressed into warm sand. Somewhere above him, Bruce stood waiting. But for what, Travis couldn't yet comprehend. Travis couldn't move. Sand coated his lips, gritty and thick, his mouth filled with it, the taste of earth and salt and something bitter he couldn't name. 300 pounds of sculpted muscle pressed uselessly into the ground. His chest heaved, dragging air through clogged nostrils. The weight that had always meant power now pinned him like an anchor. The crowd had gone silent. He felt their stares burning into his exposed back, heard the ocean waves that suddenly seemed too loud. Rick's camera lens still captured everything he knew, immortalizing this moment frame by frame. His fingers dug into sand, searching for leverage that wouldn't come. Above him, Bruce Lee stood motionless, not gloating, not celebrating. Just waiting. Travis blinked against the grit in his eyes and saw the smaller man's shadow stretching across the beach. 140 pounds that had moved like water, like inevitability itself. The fall had lasted maybe 2 seconds. It had felt effortless. Bruce hadn't overpowered him. He'd redirected him, used Travis's own charging force as the weapon. The realization crawled up his spine with cold fingers. Everything he'd built, every rep and pose and public display of dominance, none of it had mattered, not even for 2 full seconds. Travis pushed himself up. Sand scraped against his palms, grains wedged beneath his fingernails. He spat once, twice, the grit coating his tongue with bitter humiliation. 300 pounds of muscle felt suddenly clumsy, a liability rather than armor. Bruce remained exactly where he'd stood. No smile, no victory dance for the cameras. Your 300 pounds required forward momentum, Bruce said, his voice level educational. I redirected that momentum. Physics and timing beat mass. Travis wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. Heat crawled up his neck. You got lucky. The crowd noise faded. Bruce tilted his head slightly, studying Travis the way a professor examines a struggling student. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. I prepared for your charge. You gave me the opportunity. The words didn't raise their voice. They didn't need to. Each syllable landed with surgical precision, dissecting Travis's worldview more efficiently than the takedown had dismantled his body. His chest tightened. Rick's camera lens tracked every micro-expression, every bead of sweat cutting through the sand on his face. Travis opened his mouth to argue, but what defense existed against physics? What rebuttal could 300 pounds offer when momentum itself had betrayed him? Bruce's eyes held something Travis couldn't name yet, something that looked like an invitation. That evening Travis sat alone with Rick's footage. The screen glowed cold in his dark apartment. His thumb pressed pause, rewind, pause again. Frame by frame, the truth assembled itself like evidence at a crime scene. There. Bruce's weight shifted left, a movement so subtle Travis had felt nothing in the moment. 2 frames later, Bruce's eyes tracked not Travis's face but his lithe foot. The foot that would plant, that would anchor all that mass into forward momentum. Travis's finger trembled on the pause button. Bruce's hand appeared at his shoulder, not pushing, guiding. The sweep came a fraction of a second before Travis's weight committed fully forward. Physics took over. His body obeyed laws he had never considered, manipulated like a puppet on invisible strings. The fall looked effortless, inevitable. He watched his face hit sand again and again. Each replay stripped away another layer of what he thought he knew. His muscles, his size, his years of discipline. None of it mattered against someone who understood motion itself. The phone felt heavy in his grip. At dawn, Travis found Bruce at the same beach, alone this time, moving through forms in the cool morning air. No cameras, no crowd. "Teach me," Travis said. Bruce's expression revealed nothing, except the faint rise of one eyebrow, a question Travis couldn't yet translate. Bruce's voice cut through the morning chill. "No cameras," Travis blinked. "What? You train for reality, not views." Bruce turned toward the beach parking lot. 2 years minimum, private location. "You tell no one." The condition landed like a second takedown. Travis had built his entire world on documentation, on proof, on subscriber counts that validated his existence. Now this man demanded invisibility. "I agree," Travis heard himself say. 2 years dissolved in sweat that stung his eyes and soaked through cotton. His 300 pounds moved differently now, economy replacing exhibition. Bruce stripped away every wasted motion, every flex held too long for imaginary cameras. The pain was physical, yes, calluses splitting, joints screaming, but worse was the unlearning, the dismantling of patterns Travis had mistaken for identity. When he finally returned to filming, his followers noticed immediately. Comments flooded in. "Where's the showboating? Why so quiet? What happened to you?" Travis set up Rick's camera one final time. The red recording light blinked on. He stared into the lens, searching for words that could bridge the gap between who he'd been and what he'd become. How do you explain the death of your old self? But what he said next would change everything. The red recording light blinked once, then held steady. Travis sat on a metal stool, the kind that creaked under 300 pounds. His hands rested on his thighs, palms down still. The studio smelled faintly of rubber mats and old sweat. He spoke directly into the lens. "Bruce Lee taught me something I need you to hear." His voice carried no performance now, just weight. "Being 300 pounds makes me look dangerous on camera. Knowing what I am doing makes me actually dangerous." He paused, the silence stretched. "I was chasing views, now I chase competence. There's a difference and it matters." Rick stopped recording. The file uploaded within the hour. Comments arrived slowly at first, then in waves. Some accused him of betraying his brand. Others called it the most honest thing they had ever seen from a fitness influencer. Decades later, the footage resurfaced on platforms that did not exist in 1973. Millions watched the beach takedown, then found this final confession. Trainers cited it in seminars. Coaches played it for athletes drunk on their own hype. Few remembered Travis's name by then. But the lesson endured, passed from screen to screen, a quiet revolution against spectacle. Competence over performance, substance over size. Bruce had been right, legacy outlives the moment.